Welcome, numismatic enthusiasts and treasure hunters, to another thrilling episode of Coin Chronicles, the show where we unearth the incredible stories behind the world's most valuable and often most perplexing pieces of currency. Today, we're diving deep into a numismatic enigma that continues to baffle and excite collectors worldwide, the legendary 2013 1-cent coin, a seemingly innocuous copper piece that, due to a confluence of unimaginable errors and mind-boggling mistakes, has transcended its humble face value to become a hypothetical, but entirely plausible, $200 million behemoth. Imagine, if you will, a scenario where a single, unassuming penny, born from a litany of errors so profound they defy belief, could eclipse the value of multi-million-dollar mansions, private jets, and even entire art collections, transforming its accidental imperfections into a modern-day Midas touch. This isn't just about a misplaced mint mark or a slightly off-center strike. We're talking about a symphony of catastrophic production blunders that, if they were ever to occur in the exact, improbable sequence required, would elevate this penny from pocket change to an unparalleled artifact of numismatic lore, a testament to the astronomical power of rarity compounded by an unprecedented cascade of manufacturing mishaps. Let's begin by dissecting the very first, foundational layer of error, the bedrock upon which this hypothetical multi-million-dollar valuation rests, the base metal composition itself. The standard 2013 cent, as anyone familiar with modern U.S. coinage knows, is comprised of a copper-plated zinc core, a cost-saving measure implemented decades ago. However, for our $200 million specimen, we envision a scenario where, through an unimaginable series of supply chain breakdowns, equipment malfunctions, and oversight failures at the highest levels of the United States Mint, a substantial quantity of pure copper planchets, perhaps intended for commemorative metals or even a completely different denomination, found their way into the cent production line. This isn't merely a few isolated blanks. We're talking about an entire, albeit small, batch of raw, unadulterated copper being fed into presses calibrated for zinc blanks, a monumental mistake that would immediately set this coin apart. The very texture, the distinct weight, the unmistakable resonance when dropped, all would scream anomaly to any astute numismatist, a fundamental deviation from the established norm. But the pure copper composition, while a colossal error in itself, is merely the opening act in this numismatic opera of blunders. The next critical layer of error involves the dies themselves, the meticulously sculpted pieces of hardened steel that impart the coin's design. For our ultra-valuable cent, we postulate a scenario where, incredibly, a set of dies intended for a proof strike, complete with their highly polished fields and frosted devices, were accidentally installed in a standard business strike press. Proof coins, as you know, are struck with multiple, carefully controlled blows at lower speeds to achieve their exquisite detail and mirror-like surfaces. Business strikes, on the other hand, are produced at high speed with less pressure, resulting in a less pristine finish. The accidental use of proof dies for a business strike would, by itself, create a highly unusual coin, one possessing the sharp details and lustrous fields of a proof but exhibiting the characteristic imperfections and less precise strike of a standard issue. This blending of production methods would be a testament to a breakdown in quality control so severe it would almost defy belief, a truly spectacular cross-contamination of minting processes. Yet, even this profound error pales in comparison to the next, even more improbable mistake, the erroneous application of an obsolete or incorrect mint mark. Imagine a situation where, due to a mix-up in the die storage vaults, a die bearing the W mint mark for the West Point Mint, a facility primarily known for striking commemoratives and some precious metal issues, was mistakenly used to strike a batch of these already anomalous cents. The West Point Mint rarely, if ever, strikes standard circulating cents, making a W mint mark on a regular cent an immediate red flag and an instant, colossal rarity. The logistical nightmare, the complete disregard for established protocols, the sheer human error required for such a misplacement and subsequent use of an incorrect mint mark die would be staggering, a true, perfect storm of administrative and operational failures. But the errors don't cease there. We continue our descent into the rabbit hole of minting mishaps with the concept of a double denominational error. Envision a situation where, through an unfathomable sequence of events, a cent planchet, already exhibiting the pure copper composition, proof-like strike, and incorrect mint mark, somehow found its way onto the coining press for a completely different denomination, perhaps a dime or even a quarter. While the cent planchet would be significantly smaller than a dime or quarter planchet, the dies, in their forceful descent, would still impart a partial, distorted image of the larger denomination onto the cent. This mule coin, bearing the obverse of a cent and the partial, ghost-like impression of a different coin's reverse, or vice versa, would be a unique and utterly bewildering artifact, a tangible representation of absolute chaos within the minting process. The sheer improbability of a planchet of one size being accidentally struck by dies intended for a completely different sized planchet, yet still retaining some semblance of a recognizable image, would be a testament to a level of procedural breakdown that borders on the fantastical. But what if, in an even more mind-boggling turn of events, this double denomination error was not merely a partial strike, but a full, albeit misaligned, strike of a larger denomination on the cent planchet? This would imply that the cent planchet was somehow, inexplicably, placed on the collar of the larger denomination press, defying all physical constraints and safety mechanisms, and then fully struck. The result would be a cent-sized coin bearing the full, albeit significantly reduced and potentially distorted, design of a dime or quarter on one or both sides, an unprecedented and truly impossible error that would instantly catapult its value into the stratosphere. However, our pursuit of numismatic perfection through error continues. Let's consider the possibility of a die cap error, but on an unprecedented scale. A die cap occurs when a struck coin remains stuck to the upper die, acting as a cap that then strikes subsequent planchets. Over time, the design on the die cap becomes distorted and elongated, creating highly unusual coins. For our $200 million cent, we imagine a scenario where a die cap, already formed from one of our aforementioned erroneous cents, perhaps the pure copper, proof-like, incorrect mint mark, double denomination monstrosity, continued to strike hundreds, even thousands, of subsequent cent planchets before being discovered. Each successive strike would further distort the original coin within the cap, creating a series of progressively more bizarre and unique specimens, a tangible record of an escalating minting disaster. The very existence of such a prolonged die cap error, especially one involving an already erroneous coin, would represent a truly historic failure in minting oversight. But what if, amidst this already chaotic production, there was also a radical off-center strike, so severe that less than 10% of the design is visible on the coin? An off-center strike occurs when the planchet is not perfectly centered when struck by the dies. While common to varying degrees, an extreme off-center strike, especially one that leaves only a tiny fraction of the intended design visible, is incredibly rare. Imagine this highly off-center strike occurring on our pure copper, proof-like, incorrect mint mark, double denomination, die-capped cent. The resulting coin would be an abstract art piece of numismatic error, almost unrecognizable as a cent, yet undeniably a product of the mint, bearing a ghost of its intended design alongside the telltale signs of its numerous, profound mistakes. The combination of so many distinct and significant errors on a single coin amplifies its rarity exponentially, creating a convergence of misfortunes that transforms a mistake into a masterpiece of scarcity. And what if, in addition to all of this, the coin also exhibited a blockage error, where a previously struck coin was somehow imprinted onto a subsequent planchet? This would mean that our already error-riddled cent was not only struck by errant dies but also bore the mirror image impression of another coin, perhaps even another erroneous coin, from the same production run. The layers of error would become almost incomprehensible, a numismatic turducken of manufacturing blunders, each contributing to an increasingly unique and valuable artifact. The sheer number of variables that would need to align for such a multi-layered error to occur is astronomical, bordering on the realm of theoretical physics where improbable events occasionally manifest in stunning ways. Furthermore, let's inject an element of human intervention, or rather, human non-intervention, into this narrative of errors. What if, after all these mistakes occurred, this particular batch of cents, instead of being immediately identified and recalled for melting, was inexplicably released into circulation? This oversight, this profound failure in quality control and distribution, would be the final, crucial step in transforming these manufacturing accidents into genuine, circulating rarities. The breakdown in auditing, the bypass of standard inspection protocols, the sheer human error involved. Next, imagine a world where a single copper-plated zinc disc, a humble 2005 D. Lincoln cent, a coin so common it circulates in pockets and purses without a second glance, suddenly transforms into an object of monumental desire, commanding a staggering $200 million at auction, a figure that sends shockwaves through the numismatic community and beyond, captivating the imagination of millions who suddenly scour their loose change with newfound fervor, hoping to stumble upon this modern-day Midas touch, this impossible treasure, this anomaly that defies all logical understanding of supply and demand for a mass-produced coin, a valuation that seems utterly ludicrous for something that originally cost 1 cent, yet the fervor is real, the bids are placed, the headlines scream, all because of a confluence of errors and mistakes so profoundly unique, so exquisitely rare, So undeniably significant that it elevates this otherwise unremarkable penny to the pinnacle of monetary value, turning it from a mere unit of currency into a singular work of accidental art, a testament to the unpredictable nature of industrial production and the insatiable appetite of collectors for the truly extraordinary. The journey to this stratospheric valuation began, not with a deliberate act of creation, but with a series of manufacturing mishaps at the Denver Mint in 2005, a year when billions of these cents were struck, making the concept of rarity seem almost laughable. Yet within that vast ocean of identical coins, a microscopic handful, perhaps only one or two, emerged bearing flaws so profound they transcended mere imperfections, instead becoming defining characteristics that imbued them with unimaginable worth. The first and perhaps most striking error, the one that initially caught the eye of a keen-eyed collector, was a catastrophic, yet somehow beautiful, instance of a missing clad layer combined with a double-struck error, a phenomenon almost unheard of in modern coinage where planchets, the blank coin discs, are meticulously inspected and processed. Normally, cents from 1982 onwards are composed of a copper plating over a zinc core, a cost-saving measure implemented by the U.S. Mint, but for this particular 2005 D specimen, the copper layer on one side, perhaps even both, failed to adhere or was somehow entirely absent during the striking process, leaving the exposed zinc core, a dull grayish metal, glaringly apparent where the warm reddish glow of copper should have been, a stark visual anomaly that immediately distinguishes it from its countless brethren. But it wasn't just the missing clad layer that sent shockwaves through the collecting world, it was the simultaneous occurrence of a severe double strike, meaning the planchet was struck by the dies not once, but twice, or even multiple times, each strike misaligned by a fraction of a millimeter, resulting in a ghostly, almost ethereal doubling of the design elements, a blurred, shadowed image of Lincoln's profile, the date, and the lettering, "In God We Trust," appearing as if seen through a ripple in time, creating a mesmerizing optical effect that is both disorienting and captivating, a testament to the immense force of the coining press and the delicate balance required for perfect strikes. Imagine the already exposed zinc, now subjected to multiple, slightly off-center blows, exacerbating the visual impact of the error, making the details of Lincoln's bust appear like a distorted, almost cubist rendition, the strong lines of his coat becoming multiple overlapping shadows, his facial features a haunting echo, the iconic Lincoln Memorial on the reverse transformed into a surrealist landscape with multiple, faint outlines of its columns and statue. This combined missing clad layer and severe double strike, though exceedingly rare, was only the beginning of what made this penny a true unicorn. Further examination under high magnification revealed a deeply embedded struck-through error, a foreign object, perhaps a piece of lint, a stray metal shaving, or even a fragment of a worn-out die, had somehow become lodged between the planchet and the die during the striking process, leaving its indelible imprint on the coin's surface, a ghostly indentation or raised anomaly that adds another layer of unique imperfection, a tangible scar that tells a story of the chaotic environment of the minting press, a subtle yet significant detail that further differentiates it from any other known 2005 D cent, a whispered secret etched into its very being. Beyond these glaring visual cues, the coin also exhibited an extreme instance of a broad strike error, where the retaining collar, designed to keep the planchet perfectly centered during striking and ensure a crisp, well-defined rim, either malfunctioned or was entirely absent, allowing the metal to spread outwards beyond its intended diameter, creating a wider, flatter coin with a disrupted or completely missing rim, giving it an almost pancake-like appearance, further contributing to its bizarre and captivating aesthetic, making it impossible to mistake for a normally struck coin. This broad strike, combined with the missing clad layer and the double strike, created a perfect storm of manufacturing failure, a symphony of errors that, rather than diminishing its value, propelled it into an entirely different echelon. And as if that weren't enough, the coin specialists who examined it noted a subtle yet distinct, rotated die error, where the obverse and reverse dies were misaligned by a measurable degree, meaning if you hold the coin upright and flip it over, the reverse image is noticeably tilted, not perfectly inverted as it should be, a small but crucial detail that speaks to a lapse in quality control at the mint, an oversight that for most coins would go unnoticed, but for this singular specimen, it became another brushstroke in its canvas of imperfections. Furthermore, some speculate, though not definitively confirmed for this specific coin to reach such an astronomical price, that there could have been a cud error, a raised, irregular blob of metal on the coin's surface resulting from a piece of the die breaking off, leaving a void that the flowing metal fills during striking, creating a unique, three-dimensional anomaly, a tangible piece of the minting machinery imprinted directly onto the coin itself, adding an almost sculptural element to its already complex narrative of flaws. The possibility of a multi-denomination strike, where a penny planchet was accidentally struck by dies intended for a different denomination, like a dime or a quarter, though highly improbable for a $200 million valuation in 2005 cents, could elevate a coin's rarity to mythical status if proven. But even without such a dramatic miscue, the combination of errors already present in this hypothetical $200 million penny is more than enough to justify its astronomical price. The sheer improbability of so many distinct and significant errors occurring on a single coin, especially a modern, mass-produced one from a mint known for its stringent quality control, is what truly sets this 2005 cent apart. It's not merely one error, or even two, but a cascade of compounded mistakes, each layer of imperfection adding to its mystique and increasing its statistical improbability to near zero, making it a numismatic unicorn, a true one-of-one in a sea of billions. The conditions at the Denver Mint on that fateful day in 2005 must have been, for a fleeting moment, a perfect storm of mechanical malfunction, human oversight, and sheer statistical anomaly, allowing this singular penny to escape the vigilant eyes of quality control and enter circulation, a time capsule of chaos and chance. Imagine the journey of this coin from the noisy, high-pressure environment of the mint, through the counting machines, into a bag, then a box, eventually making its way into a bank, and then into the hands of an unsuspecting individual who, for years, might have spent it without a second thought, completely unaware of the multi-million-dollar fortune nestled within their pocket. The narrative of its discovery is as crucial as the errors themselves. Was it found by a seasoned collector with a jeweler's loupe, meticulously sifting through rolls of cents, or by a child pulling it from a vending machine, its odd appearance sparking a casual curiosity that led to an unimaginable revelation? This unknown backstory, the mystery of its initial journey, only adds to its allure, making it not just a coin, but a legend in the making. The value isn't just in the metal or the errors, it's in the story, the narrative of imperfection, the defiance of the expected, the embodiment of extreme rarity in a world of abundant production. The numismatic community, with its deep appreciation for historical artifacts and unique specimens, understands that true rarity is not merely about low mintage numbers but about the almost impossible combination of factors that create a truly unique piece. A 2005 penny, even in pristine condition, is worth a few cents at best, perhaps $1 or $2 for a perfectly graded example, but to jump from that to $200 million requires something more than mere excellence. It requires unparalleled, irrefutable, and visually dramatic error states that are demonstrably one of a kind. The possibilities that lead to such a valuation are vast, yet all revolve around the concept of uniqueness and irreplaceability. A typical error coin might have a doubled die, or an off-center strike, but to have multiple, significant errors compounded on a single coin, errors that are individually rare but almost never found together, creates a specimen that stands alone. It's the numismatic equivalent of a painting where the artist accidentally dripped paint, then the canvas was torn, then a bird landed on it leaving a footprint, and yet, against all odds, the resulting piece is hailed as a